So you have different backgrounds. Pablo, you work for Bloomberg, which is a commercial entity. Łukasz, you're employed at the PSF, which is an American nonprofit. And Hugo, you work for the Sovereign Tech Funds, which is backed by the German government. Which of these models do you think is the most sustainable and the best for open source?
Like models, as in
Do we need more companies supporting open source, or do we need more nonprofits, or do we need more institutions and governments supporting open source so people can do it as a part of their daily job, and they don't have to do it only after work and on weekends?
What an interesting question, actually. I think it's just they are orthogonal, no? Like you probably, I mean, the boring answer is like you need everything, right? In the sense that, so obviously, like to for big projects, and like for instance, right now we have several core developers in residence, right? Like those are people that the PSF pays, but that money normally comes from people that donate to this. And the nature of the, at least American nonprofits, is that when you donate money to the foundation, normally, with some exceptions, you need to donate it to a project, like so for this thing, right? It's not just general thing that then the nonprofit administers, right? With some exceptions, but which means that this means that you will need companies that wants to advance this, because like money doesn't appear from nowhere, right? And even like for salaries of people working full time, and to be a competitive option, because they could say, well, I could work for Python, and if it's just donation from random members in the community, that's not only probably not going to be enough, but also like is very unsustainable, in the sense that, like, what happens if people just one of the years like we just experienced, right? So you want someone who can commit a bit more from so we need these companies for sure, and it's important for us to have a good relationship with the companies, even if people don't like it. But also, like, it's important to have obviously the foundation that can administer the thing and can then have some control over, like, okay, yes, you want this and that, because maybe the commercial entity wants this, but like what we have in mind is this kind of thing. Are you interested? So it kind of sets the goal and the direction. And then it's also very important to talk with like governments and like these kind of entities, because they are regulating a lot the market right now. For instance, Europe and America are heavily regulating open source in different ways, and other things, like with, for instance, DORA and NIST. Those are security related things, and open source is impacted. Like, for instance, right now everybody wants SBOMs, right, which is like this bill of materials that contains how your software is built. And that is kind of a weird relationship, because it's work for us, right? But nobody pays us to do it, but they demand it somehow. And there is a weird unspoken relationship between all these entities together that needs to happen, because the companies consume they are bounded by the regulation. So when they consume open source, they need us to do it. So at the end, like, if we say, for instance, well, we are not doing SBOMs, because the German government doesn't have anything to say to us, but then the companies are not going to donate to us because they cannot use our software, right? So it's a weird kind of interdependency, and you need all the actors to be coordinated and understand every other point of view, because the government can say, well, you need this thing like for tomorrow, like, well, how, right? So there is a conversation that needs to happen constantly between these entities.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree with everything said, or do you have different view?
Yeah, I think we do need a combination, because like open source, the whole point is that here's free software for you to use, and then everyone comes and uses it for free, like all these companies. I mean, as they should, like we're saying, take this for free. But it's good that they should contribute back as well. But for some companies, it can be hard. Like, how do you contribute? Maybe you give money. That could be an easy way. But then who do you give the money to? You can give it to a foundation or something. But then there's lots of just solo developers. How will they get it? And maybe the money's not going to even help them, because they just don't enjoy working on this anymore. So that's partly where the developer's residence and what I'm doing at the Sovereign Tech Agency. So we're maintaining it so we can also do the kind of not so exciting jobs. So when you're working full time on it, you can have availability to be there to respond when, for example, if someone has a problem on the CI, then I can maybe respond because I'm online. And also with the release management, actually, is very good, because it can take quite a while for the release. And if something gets delayed, then it's like, it's okay. I don't need to juggle my day job about it, because it is my day job.
Well, I agree with everything said. Essentially, the creation of a foundation that protects your trademark and actually allows for the community to grow in a healthful way and like provides the infrastructure for the project and so on, that is sort of separate. It is funded by, sponsored by, but it is separate from the corporate entities, allows for like a healthy independence. Right, like this actually means that even the companies contributing to the success of the PSF feel like there is a level playing field, that this is not a corporate project of a single company, which essentially also gives us a level of kind of trust in the fact that like we're going to be, by our ability to work on it full time, that we're not going to be steering it towards like interests of a single like multi-billion-dollar corporation. Like what we are doing is like actually something that is like for the good of the project, for the good of the general user. Like, and there is very many kinds of users for Python. So this sort of disconnect between a company and the worker that who I am, for example, I think is pretty healthy. Like my work has been sponsored for multiple years now by Meta. I used to work for Facebook before that, but now like I can fully commit to working on Python, and I don't have to consider any kind of, I don't know, focuses or any like kind of priorities that Meta might have for Python in this current, I don't know, quarter or half, like, or whatever. I don't need to think about Facebook shareholders right now. What I'm doing is I'm focusing on Python, and if they find that okay, this is good enough of a job, like they sponsor me for the next year, and that's great. When I started this, a lot of people were saying, well, this is risky business, right? Because you're sponsored for a year and then they renew it for a year and then they renew it for a year. What if they don't renew it? But it turns out that in this current market that we have right now, like having like at least your work security for a single year could be worse, right? Like at least like that you're sort of like you can focus on your projects or whatever like for the next 12 months, and then we'll see.
We've seen recent layoffs in companies.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly right.